All right. So first of all, I want you to know that our average sales cycle is 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And then Mario is going to speak after me, and he's going to tell you their average sales cycle is 1 minute. Every speaker is more impressive than the next one. All right, so first of all, by show of hands, which should be most of you people, who has no fucking idea who I am? Just raise your hand, be really proud. Yeah, all right, this is important for my ego. I need your participation. You're like, I don't fucking know who this guy is. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself first. I'm originally from Greece, born and raised in Germany. So this is, representing the two opposite ends of the European spectrum, culturally speaking, in one human. I dropped out of high school when I was 17 to start my first business. I ran a number of businesses, and 10 years ago I sold everything I had. I bought a one-way ticket, and I moved to Silicon Valley. Right? So when people ask me, why have you been a serial entrepreneur your whole life? It's lack of options. Right? I have no degrees, nobody would ever hire me. So I always had to build the businesses to be able to employ me. All right, so show of hands, so I know who the fuck you guys are as well. Who here is in sales, directly or indirectly? Yeah, my people. All right, who here is a founder of a startup? Raise your hand. All right, good overlap. Who here is in marketing? And who here is in none of any of these? What the fuck are you guys doing here? All right, no worries. All right, so enough about me. We're gonna talk today about sales alchemy. This is how to take a dry, empty pipeline and turn it into money-making machine. And alchemy is a concept that I love so much, I even have tattoos of it, because I love the idea of taking something worthless and transforming it into something valuable. This is pretty much a summary of my life up to this point. All right, so most of the advice that I will give you is advice that's pretty simple and obvious. And here's my ask for all of you. You know, a lot of times when you come to a conference like this, you think, let me wait and hear that one idea, that one hack, that one tactic I've never heard before in my life. And that could be the key to unlock all of the success I've been waiting my entire life for, right? And that is sexy. I'm not against that. That's cool. I also want to be inspired by ideas I've never heard before, or tactics or hacks and any of that shit. That's awesome. Keep doing that. I want to add one more item to your to-do list. Even more important than the new shiny shit you've never heard of, I want you to be on the lookout for something that is basic, simple, you understand, you've always known it, but you've never done it, or you stopped doing it recently. Does that make sense? This is yes. This is no. This is, I still don't know who you are, and I'm just waiting for lunch, right, while sitting in this cozy room. Does that make sense? Yes. Awesome, all right. So, yeah, my advice is always like, when it comes to how do I lose weight and live a healthy life, eat broccoli and work out, motherfucker. Right? We all know the basic shit. Eat healthy, move your body, right? It's not that complicated. The problem is we don't want to do these two things. Yes, I get it, but I don't want to do this. I don't like the taste of broccoli, and I don't want to move my fat ass. So instead of doing that, can you write a new book, a new formula? Is there somewhere in the, in Brazil, is there some fruit that if I drink a smoothie every morning, that's why there's millions of books on how to lose weight, millions of fucking gyms, new concepts. Why? Because we don't want to do the available, obvious, simple options. So we're looking for sexier answers. Well, I don't have sexy answers for you. All the shit I'm going to tell you is going to be pretty basic. So a little bit about my background, technically speaking. I've done many businesses, but the one that's relevant for this audience is Elastic Sales. So 6-ish years ago, we started a company called Elastic Sales. This is also interesting. Typically, they throw this behind your t-shirt. But this is kind of like being a little bit of a cyborg, so this is like training how to be when you're like wired in. So Elastic Sales, what we did is we helped B2B startups that were venture funded in Silicon Valley create a first sales model, test different sales hypotheses, and then once they had something that was repeatable and scalable, we would hire all the sales people for them and grow it. Right? And we did that for over 200 venture-backed startups in Silicon Valley. Nobody really knew we existed, but all the VCs knew we existed, and all the B2B CEOs knew we existed, and we had collected an incredible amount of insight on what was working or what wasn't working, what companies were struggling with as they were trying to scale their sales efforts. From day one, we built a piece of software called Close.io. We never intended to launch the software. It was always for internal use because I hated with a passion all the sales software that was available. Two of my co-founders were technical. So We're like, let's just build amazing software that will help us scale this sales force. And within 9 to 10 months, we actually started having a point of view when it comes to developing sales software. What is sales software? What isn't good sales software in our point of view? And in January 2013, we released the software, and we thought it would take years and years and years to get any traction. As many of you know, CRM is not necessarily uncompetitive as a category. And when people ask me, how did you strategically decide that the timing was right to go into the CRM space? I always answer by not using any strategy. That's how we did it. I didn't fucking want to go into the CRM space. We kind of just stumbled into it. We built something, we loved it. Other people were telling us it's great. We launched it, we didn't have many expectations, and it grew. And it grew so fast that within the first year, that outgrown the services business. We had 4 people on the software, and we had 40 people in the services business. So by that time, we were like, maybe we should stop doing the services thing and focus on the software. And today, we're highly profitable, many millions in revenue. We have a fully remote team, 25 people all around the world. And more important than not, we're serving customers we really deeply care about, and we keep kicking ass. We're the smallest team in CRM. By far, like the next smallest team is 10x larger than us, not in revenue, but in employees. Right. Oh, and I have a podcast for people. If you, after this talk, you go, oh my God, I need more Steli in my life. How can I hear more from him on a consistent basis? Best it would be if it's on Tuesday and Friday, and it should be about 20 minutes, but it can't just be Steli. There needs to be somebody better looking that's also on the podcast. Go to thestartupchat.com and check it out. Heaton Shah, who all of you should know, most generous founder in Silicon Valley, an icon in SaaS and in marketing. He and I were very good friends, and we do a podcast twice a week. All right, enough of that. Let me tell you about the Polish people. So, because I know a thing or two about them. This handsome fellow, this is one of my 2 co-founders, Thomas. Thomas is half Polish, half Swiss. Once we hired Thomas, once we got Thomas to join as a founder, the very first engineer that we ever hired was Thomas's cousin, who's fully Polish, right? Double trouble. That's Stefan. As you can see, we're going progressively more crazy. When people ask him, how did they hire you? He's always answering nepotism, you know? It worked for me. Ever since Stefan, I've been going to Poland, giving talks, looking for Polish cousins of Thomas or Stefan. So if any of you is related, 3rd, 4th, any degree, we might hire you. Since I haven't been that lucky with a degree, we still found a Polish person. We've been hiring lots of people. The most recent hire we had, and this is my amazing Photoshop skills. Are you ready for this? Look at this. Boom. This is Bart. Bart, where are you? Stand up. You're supposed to stand up. Round of applause for Bart. Woo! All right, so slowly but surely, the Polish are taking over our team. All right. So, here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about your pipeline drying up. And why is that? What's one of the core principles of why that is happening? I truly believe that everything you've accomplished so far in your life, in selling, all the results you are enjoying today are results of your past activities. Everything you've done up until this point have generated the results you're seeing today. The problem about this is that it's confusing, especially in sales, but also in SaaS. That's another part where this is really confusing, is that there's a delay between input and output. And we as humans, we don't deal well with that delay, psychologically and emotionally. If today I'm crushing it and I'm generating all this revenue, I will emotionally always equate it to my current efforts. So I'm like, I don't need to work harder. I didn't even make any calls the last week, and I just closed $1 million deal. I just crushed my quota for this quarter. I'm amazing. I should take the rest of the quarter off, right? And then when things are really bad and we start working really hard, we go, I'm working this hard and I still haven't closed anything. Working hard isn't working. I've been to the gym for 2 weeks. I've not lost, my 55 kilos that were my goal. Like, this shit isn't working. I need something that works faster, right? The delay between input and output is what confuses us. And if you think about some of the the true greats in their field, the people that are not just good, but they've accomplished to be great at what they do. If you look at them, what differentiates them from anybody else is that they, once they accomplish good results, they double down to become great, and they never, ever, ever, ever stop. I'll give you an example. Beyonce, right? Singer, you guys know her? I saw two women, we're like, oh my God, he's gonna talk about Beyonce. They were really excited by it. She's like, yes, yes, you, I saw you. There you go. So, here's the deal with Beyonce, right? Is she the most beautiful woman in the world? Probably not. She's beautiful. Best singer in the world? Probably not. Very good singer. Best dancer in the world? Probably not, but very good dancer. But you know what she is? She's a fucking badass. She is an example of one of her most recent tours. She had a world tour, and she had a 3-month stunt in Australia. And for 3 months, she was going every single week into a new place and doing 2 fucking shows. For any of you who's traveled for even just 3 weeks going from hotel to hotel, it's very fucking taxing. It's a tough job. And she's a mother, she has a child. She's now 34, whatever, 33, I don't know exactly. She's been doing this forever. Doing a tour at this point without shaving your head and like punching the waiter or crushing your hotel room without like fucking losing your shit is very fucking tough. But not only that, for 3 months, she's not going just from city to city to play life and perform and jump and change 13 fucking outfits every hour and like entertain the fuck out of a huge basketball field or stadium full of humans. But during the day, for the entire 3 months, every single day, she was recording a music video for every single song of her album. There was like 25 videos. That is insane. This is insane. If you're 17, 18, 19, you're a nobody and you're really hungry, you're like, I'm gonna over deliver. Not only am I going on a show, not only am I going recording a video, I'm gonna record a video for every song I have. That's like hustling to get to the top. But once you've been at the top for 20 years, people don't work that hard anymore. They just don't. They just don't. That's why she's great. That's why she's been around for so long at the top. And that's why there's plenty of women that are beautiful, sing well, dance well, and they have 1 year, 2 years, and then they fuck off. We'll never hear them again. We forget them. That's the difference between being good and being great. So here's 4 simple ways beyond this that pipelines dry up with. There's certain things humans do, and then, oh shit, my pipeline is dry. The first is, and the most important one, is ignoring fundamental problems. Right? There's some shit that isn't working and you're ignoring it. Right? So every month you have less and less leads, or you create less and less opportunities. And then all of a sudden, after 5 months of that, oh my God, then you've crossed that threshold where you're below your quota, and then you panic. And oh my God, this quarter, we didn't have enough leads. I'm like, really? Was it this quarter? Tell me, what were the last 6 months trending, month over month over month? Well, it was like 10% less every month. So for 5 months you've been ignoring, and now you're like, oh my God, you're surprised, panic, I have less opportunities than I used to. Because you ignored fundamental issues, right? Or you're seeing it's harder and harder to close a fucking deal because a new competitor is in the market. But at the beginning, you're still doing fine, you're still doing a little less fine, eventually you're really in difficulty, and then you panic. This is a normal thing in humans. There's fundamental problems, signals, something isn't working. But because the problem is still small at the beginning, we ignore it. Guess what? Small problems are easy to fix. You know how problems become big? By ignoring them. And big problems are very fucking hard to fix. Same thing with conflict. If you have a problem with a person, when it starts, it's small. It's very easy to get out of the way. But after 30 years of hating somebody, you know, it's impossible to resolve after like decades and decades of issues. The second reason why people's pipeline dry up is lack of basic activity. This is usually because they had to work really hard to get to a certain level. Once they get there, they're like, let me chill out here. I just closed this amazing deal at the beginning of the quarter. Already hit my quota. Here's the problem. You know, you're gonna have good quarters and bad, good months and bad months. If you put a basic level of activity, good or bad, every single month, over the year, you're gonna average get the result you want. Now, if you take your good months, which most salespeople do, and you over deliver that and you stop with your activity, the really shitty months, now your average at the end of the year is going to be below what you wanted to do. Does that make sense? There you go. Thank you so much, people. Participation. So, number 3. Your sales process is out of rhythm, right? Sometimes that can happen. Like, it takes a certain amount of time to prospect, it takes a certain amount of time to qualify, it takes a certain amount of time to sell, and then it takes a certain amount of time to close. If there's not a good groove and rhythm in there, you might get the sales process out of sync, which means that you have like amazing quarters, horrible quarters, amazing quarters, horrible quarters. On average, this may or may not be really fundamentally that big of a problem for the overall company, but for your salespeople, your sales team, and the sales organization, it's gonna be an issue when people are like, panic, 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 we're amazing, we're amazing, we're amazing. You get schizophrenic that way, right? And then number 4 is my favorite one, which is you took a bunch of shortcuts and you used hacks. You found some cool little things that got you oversized results. This is like you took a shit ton of steroids and all of a sudden, boom, you're like buff and you look amazing as a man. But that shit ain't sustainable. The moment you stop taking it, you're gonna have man tits and you're gonna have all kinds of health issues. That shit is not sustainable for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So you found some hackety way, you found some email lists, you found something that got you some amazing results. I'm not saying you shouldn't use that, but most humans, what do they do once they find a shortcut? They rely on it. Shortcuts don't last. Shortcuts never last, because they always become the most crowded place around. And I truly believe this. There's no fucking shortcut worth taking. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use smart tactics that work, but you need to know one thing, and take this from one person that's teaching these tactics. Everything I teach online, everything I teach within 6 to 12 months is overused. And the problem is I'm part of the problem. I'm teaching these things, and then all of a sudden, like, I teach a great subject line, and then all of a sudden, every day I'm getting the same subject line in my inbox, multiple times. For the first time this month, we ran a promotion where I taught only 10 people out of our entire email list a tactic, because we were like, I don't want everybody to be doing this. This is working really well for us. Everything that's working overly well will eventually stop working because people will get onto it, will find it, discover it, copy it, right? So you always have to innovate. You have to find the path that really gets you sustainably to your goal. A lot of times people come to me and they go, Steli, my quarter is down. I need to find a way to save it. What's a hack? What's something I can do to turn this quarter around? And I always tell them, you don't. There's no way to turn the quarter around. By the time that you're thinking of your quarter as it's fucked, accept that it might be fucked. Maybe you'll save it, maybe not. But don't chase the quarter, chase the year. Don't chase, the next few months of your sales career or your startup. Think about the next decade of your career. When I close a customer, I'm thinking, how can this be a customer of mine for the rest of my life? When I hire somebody, I want to work with that person for the rest of my life, or I'm not hiring you. If I don't want to work with you for the rest of my life, I don't want to work with you for a day, right? Thinking long term can make a massive difference, and it's not sexy, right? It really isn't sexy. But this is one of my favorite things that Jeff Bezos did at Amazon, who I believe is the best technology CEO that there ever was. Jeff Bezos, when Amazon started, and this is the reason why they're the only first big tech company, it was 3, Yahoo, Amazon, and eBay. Amazon is the only one that's still around and crushing it. Why? Because Jeff Bezos said, you know what? If we focus on what's changing in technology, we're gonna be schizophrenic. We're always gonna be one beat, one step behind. We cannot be always looking, what's the newest, coolest trend, what's happening right now, and jump on every fucking bandwagon. What we need to ask ourselves instead is, what will never change? What is something that in 10, 20, 50, 100 years will still be true? That should be our North Star. And for Amazon, it was very simple. It was number 1, people will never want to pay more money for the same product. Number 2, they will never say, I wish I couldn't find the thing I'm looking for. They will always want to be able to find the product or service they're looking for. And number 3, they will never want to wait longer to get it. They'll never go, oh my God, I wish after I bought it, I could wait even longer to receive the benefits of the product. So those are their 3 principles. Everything that Amazon has ever done came through it. Is it helping things get cheaper, us getting more variety and more variety on the table? And is it getting the product faster? Are we getting to quicker, instant gratification for the customer? If it helps one of these 3 things, Amazon is doing it. And that's why they're crushing it. All right, here's some shortcuts I want to highlight, because shortcuts is really, I think, a main reason why salespeople are sucking at their job or generating real problems. Spamming, lying, and begging, right? Those are the 3 deadly sins of sales. So when things are going bad, when your pipeline is dry, what do most salespeople do? We fall into a panic. We're like, oh my God, oh shit, I need to do something now, da 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 da. And instead of doing what I'm going to teach you to do, what are we doing? We're trying to overcompensate this crisis. We're trying to save the quarter, or save the month, or save whatever it is. So what do? Number one is we're trying to, buy leads from somewhere, or get a list, or get some kind of a target group that we can go after really fast. And usually what we do is we just get really shitty leads, really shitty data, and then we spam them with really shitty messages that are overly aggressive, overly timely, because I need to close you right now, otherwise you don't count for my quarter. And so we're wasting money, and we're polluting humanity with shitty messages. The second thing we do is we close unqualified leads. This breaks my heart, right? The moment your pipeline is a little drier than usual, what do salespeople do? We get a little more open-minded about what qualifying really means. Yes, we're selling enterprise security software, and this is a student in his first year in college, but one day you might be a CTO. You can sign this contract now, and then you can always cancel. Doesn't that suck? Right? Closing customers that shouldn't buy your product, to me, is like what gives sales a bad reputation, and deservedly so. And it is what breaks my heart, because a lot of these salespeople, there's black sheep, right? But they are not even the problem. There's very few people out there that are like, I'm not going to go and I'm going to lie my way to success. But the majority of salespeople that do damage are gray sheep. People that want to do the right thing, but the pressure gets to them, and then they start selling themselves. This was not that bad of a deal. Maybe it's going to be good for them. And they're selling themselves that what they're doing right now is actually not that horrible. And they sell to somebody that's going to cancel, that's going to hate it, that's going to be in trouble for buying this. They're selling to the wrong leads. Don't do this. And then number 3 is, that's the other opposite of the spectrum, is you start begging. Right? You start begging, you become super insecure. Nothing stinks more than desperation. Nothing is more unpleasant than a desperate salesperson. Oh my God, if you could just, when I hear this, if you could just do me a personal favor, I have a tough quarter, and if you could just buy now, I will give you a 95% discount. You know what? I'm gonna pay you money through my PayPal account. I'm gonna pay you $59, you buy $58 of, and this is, that breaks my heart. Isn't that this sucks? Please don't do this shit, right? And this also applies to founders. I had a founder the other day that called me from San Francisco, raising around in the last second of the fundraise, and he asked me to sign up and pay for his product because he's trying to get certain numbers up. Breaks my heart. I'm like, this is just horrible. And I know it's a good person. I know him for a while. It's not that this person is a black sheep that wants to lie, but he just, out of all the pressure, all the years, he's gotten to a point where he's just desperate. He's like, what, just a few people, and it doesn't really matter. Once we have the money to advertise, we're gonna crush it anyways. It sucks. Don't beg. Don't become a desperate little insecure teenager around your customers. It's not sexy, it's not attractive, they're not gonna wanna do business with you. And if they give you money out of pity, it's a donation, it's not a customer, and they won't be like, I wanna stick around in this relationship for the rest of my life, giving this person, helping this person who can't get their shit together, my money, so he doesn't live on the streets. That's not gonna be a long-term relationship, right? The moment I've given you some charity, I never wanna hear from you again, right? Because it was unpleasant to talk to you. Make sense? Yes. Thank you, Mario, and the rest of you people. All right. So, how are we doing on time, by the way? Because if you don't give me a timer, I'll take all the time. I'm Greek. 50 minutes, all right, we're good. So, here's something I want to talk about in general in terms of the future model of sales and sales type of a person that I believe will succeed, and why I think when your pipeline is dry, you're turning into one of these 2 corners. We talked about that. There's unfriendly strength, which is the old model of sales, right? There's somebody that's unfriendly. I want to take your money. I want to take all the customers' money. I want to crush the competition. But because they're strong, they succeed. They bully people into submission. It's the Wolf of Wall Street model of sales. I'm just more alpha, more aggressive than you, so I'm going to push you to give me all your money. That worked really well it works decreasingly well because we're in a more and more transparent world. So back in the day, I could just like steal all your money, and then when you had regret, there was no way where to go with it other than to your wife or husband, right? But I could just go to the next town and steal all people's money and then have them regret it and go to I could just bully people into giving me money if they liked it or not. It didn't really matter. Today, the world is much more transparent. I'm not going to bore you with this shit, so it's much harder to do, but it still works. There's still bullies out there that succeed. Why? Because they're strong. They're strong. Now, the opposite end of the spectrum is the friendly and weak person, right? That's the person that's always apologetic they exist. Oh my God, maybe you had an arts teacher in 3rd grade that was like this, always excusing that they, inhale oxygen and take up space in the room. Always like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And these people should be the nicest and most popular people on earth, but they're not. If you're around a friendly and weak human, you become the asshole. It's just intersocial dynamics dictate that when somebody's overly weak, somebody needs to be dominant over them and take advantage of them. So that sucks. You're not going to be successful in sales by being like overly weak all the times. I think the model to go is friendly strength. That's what I'm looking forward to. And when people are desperate, when the pipeline gets dry, people that are even somewhere in the middle, they push themselves either to bullying or to becoming super, super weak and being begging, right? I want you to be friendly and strong, and here's my best model for being friendly and strong. There's 2 ways. One is, to think about this, is like a good parent. A good parent, you love your children, so you're friendly, you want them to do well, but you need to be strong. You're not equal. This is not always a debate or a discussion. You need to tell them what to do at times, right? So if you have children, when they're really tired or they're really hungry, they become crazy people. Right? They can't deal with their emotions. They're insane at times. And it's really late, they had too much sugar at some birthday party, you're trying to put them to bed, and they run around, they're screaming, they're throwing things at you. You're like, hey, it's time for bed. No, I hate you. You can't start being like, I hate you too. You know what I've done for you? All the sacrifices. You don't start arguing with your child, right? You just take the little kid and there's this, you're just like, I get it. Here's what's going to happen next, buddy. You're going to put on their pajamas, we're going to read the story, you're going to sleep. I don't want to sleep. And you just take off their shirt, you shake them, all right, here's their shirt, you put them in bed, you start reading, and eventually, I'm telling you, they're like, and eventually they go, fuck it. I guess he knows what he's doing. All right. I will tell my 4-year-old you appreciated this story from our personal interaction. So another, maybe for those that aren't parents, another example is a good doctor. A good doctor needs to be friendly and strong. I want to walk into that doctor, and at the beginning, I want them to care about me. I want him or her to ask questions, to pay attention, to really care, right? I don't want a doctor where I walk in and they go, I know what you have, let me prescribe the surgery. I'm like, motherfucker. I even have said, hello, how did you diagnose me, right? I don't want that. I want somebody that's friendly. But once he qualified me or she qualified me, she knows, she diagnosed me, she knows what I have. Now, I don't want a wishy-washy conversation. I'm not God, so what do I know? And science is constantly changing. And 100 years we thought differently about this disease. And names, what do names really mean? I mean, it's tough to really say. There's a tribe in Africa that they would tell you to paint yourself green to get healthy. And then I'm just here to share you options. No, motherfucker. I'm not here for you to have I don't want to study this. I'm not an expert. Once you know what I have, tell me what to do. I want a doctor that goes, listen, buddy, here's what it is. This is the diagnosis. I know you don't like it. I know it sucks. But we will get you healthy. Here's your 3 options. I will recommend this one for these reasons, but either way, we will work together. I will help you to health. And I'll go, all right, you tell me what to do, doc. And that's what a good salesperson is. Empathetic, friendly, you care about them, you ask questions, you listen, you want to help. Once you know they qualify, once you know they should buy your product, it's not asking, it's telling. Right? A lot of times people show up to me at conferences, they go, Steli, sell me Closer. Hello, go fuck you. Right? I don't know if you should buy Closer. I'm not going to sell you. Tell me who you are. What do you do? What are your problems? tell me a little bit about you. I'm not just selling everybody anything, right? So you want to be friendly, you want to be strong. If you are that way, you might have a quarter that sucks, but throughout your career, throughout the year and the decades, you're always going to be crushing it. And here's the thing, this is why I actually love when your pipeline is dry. That's why I love when things go really, really bad. Because this is my favorite JFK quote, never let a good crisis go to waste. Because a crisis is a massive opportunity. What does a crisis really mean? It means there was a long period of time where you should have changed something, but you didn't want to. For whatever reason, good or bad, there was tiny little signals along the way and you just kept ignoring them until you couldn't anymore. The crisis is the force function of change. A crisis is a force function of change, nothing else. Now, because we're humans and we're amazingly irrational at times, even when there's a force function for change, we will fight to death not to change, right? We will fight with everything we have to keep doing what we're doing and then blame everything else why we're not getting different results. But to me, when there's a crisis, you need to step back a few steps and go, all right, motherfucker, I have to change now. We have to change as a team, as a person, as a company. What is the thing we've been ignoring that we need to do? There's 4 things that you probably can and should do during a dry pipeline period. Number 1, you need to take a good look at the fundamentals. How are we generating leads? How are we prospecting? How are we reaching out to these prospects? How do we qualify them? How do we negotiate and close them? How do we treat them after we close them? What are the fundamentals of our sales pipeline, and where are there leaks? Where is something fundamentally wrong that we need to fix now? Now, the problem is when you fix that now, it's not going to save your fucking quarter. I get that. But you have to get over yourself, right? Yeah, it's not, I have no remedy that's instant and painless. Right? I don't believe in that. So the number 1 thing you need to do is fix the fundamental issues you've been ignoring up until that point. The next thing you should do is have some fucking fun with it. Experiment and have fun. Here's the problem. Most of the times when you have a small pipeline, people think, oh my God, because my pipeline is small, I now need to close every single deal. These are the most important deals in the universe for me. No. Since you're not gonna hit your quota anyways, now is the time to have some fun. Be bold, take risks, ask for more money, close bigger deals. You know, do something different. If your pipeline is small anyways, and you lose even the few deals you have, who gives a shit? You have a horrible quarter anyways, but you might learn something. It's actually the time to learn, to take risks, to be bold, to have fun, to do things that you shouldn't do when things are amazing. When things are amazing, just do what you do. Keep following the fundamental rules to success. But when you're failing, you need to change, you need to experiment, you need to try new things. It's also a great time to get referrals. This is another basic thing. Everybody gets that they should be asking for referrals. I've yet to meet a salesperson on this planet that is doing this well. Here's how most people ask for referrals. Hey, now that you bought, it would be great if you know somebody to refer or recommend our business to, and then the prospect goes, yeah, I'll think about it. Yeah, I'm sure if it comes up, I'll think about it. Oh yeah, I appreciate it, thank you. That's the typical referral conversation. Well, that's not gonna work well. And if you're interested in how to build a referral machine that's gonna help you in B2B to really grow and scale, send me an email, Steli Efti, I'll send you that. And then the 4th thing is upsell. You know, we had a crisis once where our system was down, completely down for an hour. And once we fixed that, you know what we did? Myself and a few other people, we called one customer at a time to apologize, to allow them the space to scream, to tell us what the impact was, to find fixes to their issues. But you know what we did on top of that? Once they had all that out of their system, we asked, hey, now that we are talking, how have the last few weeks been even before this? Have you been happy? Have you been successful? How's your business going? You know what we did at the end of the conversation that went well? We said, you know what, this is such an important relationship to us. We want to reinvest in it. We want to double down on it. I want to give you a 20% discount on all your prices. All you have to do is sign a 2-year contract. We were calling people because our system was down, and then we were selling them a 2-year contract. You know how many people bought? 35%. People were laughing, I can't believe you're doing this, and then they were buying. oh my God, this is so crazy, nobody would ever think of this. Here's the contract. And not because we were not like hacking them or tricking them. We take the time, we make sure they're really a good customer, we make sure we really, fix the issues, we make sure we listen to them. But then we're saying, you know what, we are committed to you. And yes, this was a bad time, but a bad time is a great opportunity to show who you truly are, show your true colors. You were a great customer at Crisis. You talked to us, you gave us feedback, you were honest, you were amazing. We didn't hide, we didn't make lame excuses, we didn't try to blame somebody else. We showed up at this crisis and we showed you how we are at our worst moments. Let's double down on this relationship. Let's get you a more affordable version of our product and let you reinvest in making a long-term commitment to the company, right? Most people, when there's crisis, they run, they hide, they don't pick up the phone, they don't answer the emails, they feel horrible. Show up when crisis happens and you're gonna stand out. So I think that, to summarize all this, I truly believe that when things are bad, we all fall into a scarcity mindset. When things are bad, when our pipeline is dry, when revenue is not picking up, when there's an issue with our technology, we get into a scarcity mindset and we think, oh my God, there's so little in the world for me. And we get like all depressed about it. Oh my God, why is the market so competitive? Why is the industry falling? Why are the VCs not investing? Why are the customers so cheap? We blame it on others and we think there's so little in the world and we have to fight so aggressively for it and we're all whiny or overly aggressive around it. I truly believe that the antidote to a dry pipeline is an abundance mindset. You need to realize that when people don't buy from you, they go and they buy somewhere else. There's deals closed, there's new billion-dollar companies made at crisis, and there's billion-dollar companies created when times are up. There's a shit ton of money in the world. There's shit tons of money generated, printed literally around the world. Now, you can work to get some share of that money and funnel that to your business or not, but it's there. It's abundantly there. It's not scarce. And if you think about it that way, if you think, well, there's all these other companies crushing it, that means there's customers with money in their pockets ready to buy right now. What do I need to do to deserve that money? What do I need to do to attract that money? With an abundant mindset, you'll get abundance in business. And to clarify that and to demonstrate that, I'm going to give you all my books in abundance. Right? So if you're like, I need more knowledge from Steli, how do I do cold calls? How do I hire salespeople? How do I do an effective demo? How do I do all this shit? I've written 6 books, a bunch of templates. You send an email, bundle motherfucker, a subject line. I tested this. I have 100% of the time I opened the email when you sent me this as a subject line. And then to steli@close.io. Some people are like, what if I just write bundle? What if I just say bundle mother? Can I experiment with this? What if I add a question mark? What if it's not all capital letters? I'll share the results with you if you experiment with me on this. All right, Q&A. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Wow. Steli, round of applause, please. Round of applause. Awesome. Right, we're going to open up for a couple of questions. Who is brave enough?
First question, you're setting the stage and the mood. No pressure.
Anybody? All a little bit afraid? All still waiting for the subtitles? Okay, Steli, I've got a question to you. What is right now, what is the most effective way that you as a business are generating inbound leads? Because you've got a blog that's very sales orientated. How much resource goes into that? How long is the long game? What's the team size? Can you tell us a little bit about internally how you work?
Yeah, so we're fully inbound sales driven right now. 50% of our funnel and our trials come through word of mouth and 50% come through content marketing. Content marketing is all we do, right? Our content marketing till 2 months ago were 2 people. Wow. 2 people, right? So now, again, when it comes to our content game, you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. You need to know who you are and embrace it authentically. A lot of times people ping me and they're like, Steli, I saw you screaming on a stage and your company's doing well. So our strategy to success is our CEO is going to be going on stages screaming at people, right? That may or may not work. But that's not my recommended advice to most people. Look at our machine. The way it works is that we have raw content material and then we run it through like a process to generate much more content. I do videos as the raw material. Our videos are not good. Our YouTube channel is not big. We're not big on YouTube. The reason we do videos is because I can, with a very small amount of time, record a blog post in a video, right? So here's what happens. At first I was writing the draft and then another person was improving them. We were going back and forth. It would take fucking 2 weeks to write a blog post. And eventually one day he was chasing me and he said, you know what, Steli, just fucking record the blog post on the phone. Just talk me through it and I will write it. And I did that. And the draft was as good as when I wrote my own thing. And I was like, shit, this took me 6 minutes and writing the draft takes me like hours and hours. So eventually I recorded it a number of times and I thought, you know what, if I stop referring to it as the blog, and if I stop saying the other person's name, we could just publish the audio file. And then I said, you know what, if I just click record on the webcam, we could have a video, audio, and we can turn it into a blog. So that's what we do. Right? So, because it takes me literally zero preparation and we do zero editing. The videos are really shitty, but the beauty is it takes me, 6 minutes to do a blog post, right? To do the raw material and then we turn it into a blog because everything we do is kind of in-depth, timeless content. We take a number of that content, we repackage and republish the fuck out of it. So we turn a number of blog posts into courses, into books, into all kinds of stuff. And people are like, oh my God, you guys are everywhere. Your content is abundant. It's abundant not because we have an abundance of writers. It's because we've set up a process that allows us to take something really small and leverage it a lot.
Makes sense. If not, I will ask.
There you go, questions.
Where are we? Anybody?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm coming along, sorry.
My favorite people. People
thanks.
with questions. Hey.
You were asking on your website about what is your current sales question, or on the blog, I don't know. So what is your current sales question, and what do you think is the answer?
So what my number one sales question is, or what the number
right
one sales
now
question is that people ask me or that I have?
What do you have?
Like a sales problem I have that I'm trying to solve.
Is that none?
I don't want to be arrogant and pretend I know everything, but right now, there's not, right in this moment where you asked, maybe a few weeks ago would have had something, but right now I don't have like a top sales question to share with you. I'm sorry. I'm lame.
Cool. Anyone else?
Yeah, this gentleman.
Thanks, Steli. I admire your breath stamina. I wouldn't be able to talk.
Screaming is a skill you all have. You did it as babies.
Yeah, the question is about the referrals, because I'm dealing with a lot of referrals from our client that we closed. We finished the development of the software. We were a software house, and that's okay. We get some reviews on Clutch, for example, etc. But what happens, in your opinion, with the referrals of non-closed sales? I mean, for example, I was dealing with a person for 1 month, doing some meetings, documentation, samples of branding, whatever, and then they say no because they found a cheaper solution, a better solution, whatever.
All right, let me answer the question. So, when it comes to referrals, I only ask for referrals from the type of person that I want more of in my life. Does that make sense? So, if there's somebody that's incredibly cheap, that's like, I always want the cheapest, cheap, and I have a premium solution, I'm not going to ask that person, tell me everybody you know, I want to talk to them, because more likely than not, somebody that's very cheap will know other people that are very cheap. Well, broke people will know broke people, rich people will know rich people, large enterprise executives will know other large enterprise executives. Make sense? So, my first rule in terms of asking referrals is only ask referrals from your best customers. From the type of person that you just want more of in your life and business. Make sense? The next thing is, once you get a referral, here's the problem that most people don't ask. When they ask and they get a no or they get a later, they just accept it versus seeing it as another sale, another close. You need to have a sales pitch to get a referral. You need to overcome objections. And it's even more valuable sometimes than the original money you took to convert them to a customer. But once I get a referral and I talk to that referral, and they turn into a customer, the most important thing most people don't do, it's the basic shit, is you need to close the feedback loop. So if I close you and you came through a referral, through Mick, the moment we've made the deal happen, handshake, whatever it is, I go, hey, who do we have to thank for making this happen? And sometimes people go, you? No. Who put us together? Oh, it's Mick. Cool. Can you do me a favor? Can you make a quick call or send Mick a quick email? I'll do the same. So he knows we both appreciate that connection. The moment you send the original referral, he gets thank you feedback, positive reinforcement, you'll get more referrals. Beyond that, if you get 10 referrals and you have 6 that really liked you and 4 that hated you, the 4 that hated you are much more likely to tell him than the 6 that liked it. So once he hears once that somebody's like, this was a shitty meeting, this person is stupid, he'll never talk about your business. And he'll think, should I cancel the contract as well? Am I the stupid one? So you need to make sure that the positive referrals get a full closed feedback loop. There's a few other things that I've written about it, and I can send you the link. But if somebody is a bad customer because they go, I talked to you for months, I wasted all your time, and I went to the cheapest service solution possible, you'll get more of that kind of conversation, wasted time, if you ask that person for referrals.
Steli, one last question before we go for lunch. I know everyone's hungry. Apart from close, what can you name, like kind of 2 or 3 tools that you and your team use in your sales processes? Like tools that you would tell people in the room, I can, pretty much say you should go and try them, check them out, or any tools that help them out.
I don't know. There's many things, we use Zoom to do demos. We use, my team, I don't use that, but my team use Calendly. Nothing spectacular. There's, when people are way too small to use a full-fledged CRM, in close we have a lot of like follow-up automation kind of out of the box, but a lot of people that are too small for that, I recommend them to use followup.cc. They're just much better at their follow-up. So these are just some tools, but I always find there's an abundance of tools out there, and tools are cool, and I want you to be using technology, but don't chase it. That's not gonna solve your problems. Go back to the fundamentals, especially if it's something you don't wanna do, and it's totally unsexy, it's usually the right thing to do.
Perfect. Everybody, can we give him a great big round of applause? That was amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Perfect.